Time for something to talk about from the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. This program is sponsored by Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island, which offers memory care and is working on completing assisted living and independent living facilities. And they also offer day stay and respite programs. Quite a lot going on there. To take a tour or learn more about Fieldstone on Rolling Bay, call 360-689-4314. Also, we are gathering on the ancestral homeland of the Coast Salish people, specifically our neighbors, the Suquamish tribe, the people of the clear salt water, who have lived on these waters of the Salish Sea since time immemorial, and we are grateful for their hospitality, and we join with them in doing our best to keep this place as healthy a place as it can be, which fits right into our topic today, which is about Earth Month. And with us to discuss that is Barbara Ochota, who is very active in zero waste, as well as a board member at the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. Thank you, Barbara. And also has been active in this month's activities, which are already underway, right, Barbara? They're already,
Oh, yeah.
we're getting through the month here. So tell us a little bit about Earth Month Bainbridge.
I'll tell you a lot about it. So let me just tell you how it comes about. Is starting in April, a coalition of a number of groups on the island starts working together to plan the upcoming Earth Month. Sustainable Bainbridge, Bainbridge Island Land Trust, the Parks and Rec Department, Parks and Trails, Islandwood, the Senior Center, Climate Citizens Lobby, the city, and Blodell Reserve, and the Watershed Council and Weed Warriors. So it's a whole group of all ages and interests and activities on the island. And so we add to a calendar. Each group kind of creates events that they're particularly interested in. All of the information about Earth Month is on the Sustainable Bainbridge website. So they have April is Earth Month calendar that suggests different activities, educational activities that you can learn about. Thank you so much, Reed. I'm going to talk about all those things. So we're already well into the month. Two things are going on for the entire month of April. One is trash pickup. I don't know if you can see this, but I've got my grabber here, which kids absolutely love to use. And the Zero Waste is collaborating with Adopt a Spot and Bainbridge Disposal, and they are providing, you can, if you need a grabber, you can email Bainbridge Island BI Zero Waste at Sustainable Bainbridge and get a loaner grabber. And you can also go get a large white Kitsap trash bag at the Bainbridge Disposal office in Copper Top. And there's some information online about what you need to be aware of. Wear bright clothes. It can be any day of the month. There's nothing scheduled. It's whatever's convenient for you and whoever else you might want to do this with. And then when you're finished, you leave your full bag next to your trash bag, because Bainbridge Disposal as a partner is going to keep tabs on everything that we collect on the island this month, which should be kind of interesting to see how much debris we have. So that's any day this month. And then the other thing that's happening is Bay Hay and Feed. If you have socks with holes that you don't know how to mend, or that
is a great audio visual you brought.
Yes. So Bay Hay and Feed is collecting either socks with holes or single socks who have lost their mate somehow in the mystery of the laundry process. And they're collecting that all month. And they are working with Smart Wool. I think they're a Denver-based company. Let me see if I can get this. Oh, right. And then the socks are going to be sent off to material return. And they're going to be deconstructed and turned into new items. And that's all within a 75-mile radius of North Carolina. So we're not sending, anything overseas. This is all going to happen here, and it's going to get reused. So shout out to Bay Hay and Feed. Thanks for doing that. And then there's also on the Sustainable Bainbridge website an Earth Month bingo There are no daubers involved and there are no cash prizes, unfortunately, but it's a good opportunity. There's a task for every day, and it includes things like I reduce my laundry impacts in one or more ways, either cold water wash or hang out to dry, or I biked somewhere. Yeah, it might be hard to get to. I bought ugly produce because merchants will dump produce that's ugly because they think people won't buy it. I bought consignment clothes. Well, you know, come down to the thrift shop at the senior center because there are always fabulous things there. So there are a lot of things you can think about with the bingo game. And if you are a big gardener, I know Rita is, there are Earth Month parties. So the next one is on April 11th at Red Pine Park to help maintain garden beds. There's one on April 15th at Battle Point Park. And there's one on April 20th at Moritani Preserve. So it's just to keep our shared natural spaces clean and healthy. And there's also, I don't know if they're full, but on Wednesday, April 12th, the city is collaborating with the barn and sponsoring a class to teach us how to cook some good meatless meals. So that's this Wednesday, April 12th from 6 to 7:30 at the barn. So you need to sign up online for that, but I think that'll be a great idea. All right, let me just go through some of the many things that are happening here. Oh, and then the culmination. So, you know, Earth Day is Saturday, April 22nd. And I don't know if you know it, but last year we had a celebration that was kind of kid and family focused. This year it's going to be the same thing on Saturday the 22nd. We're calling it Earth Expo. And that's from 10 a.m. to noon at Battle Point Park. And it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of educational material there. Zero Waste had a booth last year with there was a kid-directed kid-oriented activity that was super fun. It killed us to do this, but we threw composting and recycling and garbage on the ground in back of our tent. And then kids got to come and use a grabber to pick it up and sort it into where they thought it should go. So it was an opportunity to educate them. And, you know, they got to use grabbers. And one little boy's parents came up to us and said, "This is the perfect thing for our son. He wants to be a scientist when he grows up so he can design robots that collect trash and recycling." So he was living his dream with us that day. It was super fun. But it's also, there'll be activities for adults. And I want to, so let me go through this busy calendar here. Oh, and tomorrow we have a local author. I don't know if you know Nora Firm Nickum. She is a senior policy analyst at the Seattle Aquarium. And she's just written her first book. Comes out on the 11th. It's called Superpod, Saving the Endangered Orcas of the Pacific Northwest. She grew up on the island. This is geared to 8 to 12-year-olds, but it's good for anyone older. So if you have grandkids or neighbors that you think might be interested in this, please put it on your to purchase list. Support a local author and support education. She includes things, I don't know if you've seen this on the website, the aquarium's website, but there are actually scat sniffing dogs, experts who train scat sniffing dogs to identify orcas and what they've been eating. So that's a bizarre thing, but kids will be fascinated with that there are dogs that are going to smell orca poop. Okay, so the work party, climate kitchen. Oh, and then Islandwood, which is a fantastic source for environmental education, is sponsoring Spring Skills of a Naturalist, Wildflowers and Other Wonders this Thursday. So you can learn to identify spring plants. I know Rita has so much experience as a gardener, she could probably be teaching that class, but this is one thing to consider. And then there's another book reading and talk this Thursday from 6:30 to 7:30 at the library. And there's a Blodell Reserve creative resident, Jory Lewis, who's written a book called Slaves for Peanuts. And she's going to talk about, it's narrative nonfiction about the environment and agriculture, mostly in the global South, which should be fascinating. And there's another Trails Work Party on the 15th. Another spring, plein air painting. I don't know if you're plein air painters, but on Saturday, April 15th, from 11 to 4 at the Blodell Reserve. And then there's another, Spring Skills of a Naturalist at Islandwood, beginning birding by ear, which I think sounds fascinating. I really can't identify the birds I'm hearing, so I'm going to take that class. And then, if you've ever been to has anyone here been to the Halls Hill Lookout and Labyrinth? Well, there's a spring work party on Friday, the 21st from 11 to 1 to clean it up. So if you want to join in that, you should go to the Sustainable Bainbridge website and register online. We're going to have the Earth Day Expo for kids and families with all sorts of activities and food. And then Earth Day, there's a invasive species removal project at Battle Point Park. And one of our senior center members, Jeanette Franks, is big on weed warriors. So she's been just a prominent mover and shaker into getting all these noxious plants out of the way. And there is, and Bainbridge Disposal. So in addition to picking up all the bags that are accumulated debris, if you do the cleanup, they're sponsoring a free invasive weed disposal. So if you've been out in your garden and you've got the plants that you can't put into compost because you don't want them getting put back out there, Bainbridge Disposal will accept those on April 23rd at the transfer station, and again on the 30th. That's from 10 to 4. And then Kitty Moo is going to be doing a garden tour at Blodell. So if you have young kids in your life, this is April 26th at 3 o'clock. So it'll be a special kid-oriented tour of the gardens. There's another intermediate birding class at Islandwood on the 27th. And there are also anytime activities. Michelle, I understand that you wanted Earth Day, Earth Month, Earth Year, Earth Forever kinds of ideas. And if you go to the Sustainable Bainbridge website, they do list anytime activities. Drink like you live here, take your own reusable cup, Earth Month bingo, tree tours. There's just so many things that you can do. So anybody have any questions? Comments?
I will note that, the website is sustainablebainbridge.org, and almost everything that you've talked about seems to be also listed there. And that includes nominating a tree, if you know that it's a tree that we should not forget about. And there's a link to help you figure out if your tree qualifies for being a heritage tree. Information about invasive species. So you were talking about taking things out of your garden that you don't want to have in your compost heap. If you're like me, you might not be sure. So I'm guessing that if we look at this app, we might get some more information about what it is. If it isn't, outside of English ivy and Himalayan blackberries, which you gotta get those Himalayan blackberries early in the year before they try to woo you with their delicious fruit.
Yes. Well, so here's the deal on that. The invasive plant targets are Scotch broom, English holly, English ivy, the dreaded Himalayan blackberry, tansy ragwort, English laurel, and there are noxious weeds on King County's noxious weed list. And if you have any questions about whether a particular kind of weed will be accepted or not, you can email Andrew Fraser, who's the Land Trust Stewardship Manager, or you can call 206-842-1216. And they'll answer your questions about what plants go in the invasive weed disposal.
Okay.
right,
That's good.
noxious weeds.
Rita, you have something you want to say?
I have a question, Barbara.
Okay,
If we could pick up the litter like in the white and then get a white bag.
uh-huh,
At our house, they go to the dump. So I don't really have a trash can to set it next to, I guess, unless I would set it out. Our neighbors, a bunch of our neighbors put their trash cans out on Thursdays down on our street. Can I just set it next to that?
if, with their permission, yes.
Okay, well, they
Ask
just,
your neighbors.
yeah, okay. Otherwise, I would just have to take it to the dump, right?
Or, yeah, or you bring it to the senior center on Friday and I'll put it next to our trash can.
Oh, okay,
And we
okay.
have trash cans and recycle cans and compost cans at the
Right.
senior center. So
I
you
didn't,
could,
well, I
they
didn't
could
think
probably,
about,
they
I
could
didn't
probably
think-
figure it out.
okay, that's a good idea, just because we don't have trash cans.
Yeah.
You know,
Right, and I know not everybody does, but
No,
people
every-
get
There's a lot of people who don't. So,
People
okay,
get- very agitated about their trash and their recycling in a way that you would not believe.
But it's not gonna cost them anything to have it picked up.
It's not gonna
So-
cost them
so if-
anything,
So if you're on speaking terms with your neighbors, you could
Right.
certainly ask.
right,
right,
So, is this only for the month of April that?
right,
So my suggestion is, Barbara, since you're on these committees, to
yes,
think about if we have this available and people are picking it up, that it could be picked up all the time by,
that's a great idea.
right. It would certainly encourage people to pick up and then the city could keep track of how much trash is being done. I understand it's for this, but it seems like that would be an all the time kind of a project that they might want to think about.
Well, it'd take buy-in from Bainbridge Disposal. So that's a conversation to be had. No, that's a great idea. And the reason why this idea of cleanup, spring cleaning on the island for the whole month of April came up is because,
Right.
in September, we do the beach cleanup. And
Right.
somebody wrote an email to Zero Waste and said, after all this storms this winter, we've got just debris everywhere in our neighborhood on the ground. And so we thought, well, yeah, let's do an earth cleanup, a land cleanup to match the ocean debris.
Right, and we're gonna have a lot of visitors coming with summer and stuff, so we're just gonna, I
Yes.
mean, there's a lot all the time, so it's just a thought that it might be a year-round thing that could even,
It's a great thought.
okay. Perfect.
And if you wanted to do it on your own in other months, I still invite you to give it to me and I will put it in my trash.
So, there's something on this page about the Earth Day Network. Do you know what that is? Or did
I do not.
Or did I stump Barbara?
You stumped me. Where are you? Where
I'm
are you
the
at?
I was at the
Oh,
bottom of
oh.
the Sustainable Bainbridge list, and now I have clicked on what that link is, and it says it's
Well,
for-
please educate me.
Well, we'll educate us all. We'll do a little search here. This
Okay.
is the Earth Day Network, which is ways that we can take action all the time. Billions of acts of green. I was thinking about this because Michelle asked us beforehand how to have Earth Month, Earth Year, Earth till the end of time.
Mhm.
And so these are some examples and this link is earthday.org. You can support legislation. You can tell businesses to stop deforestation. You can support global plastics treaty. And then there's some cleanups and so forth that they are probably on here
Mhm.
as well. Some of these obviously are related directly to the kinds of things that you just talked about. And some of them, like you mentioned, fighting fast fashion, shopping at the waterfront thrift all year long, or other consignment choices or thrift stores is a great way to find very usable clothes that have just not ended up in the landfill, we hope.
Right. So about the fast fashion thing, tickets are on sale now for an event next month. And I don't have the date. I do. On May 21st, that's a Sunday, it's at 1 o'clock. I think it's going to be at Islandwood, is the Refashion Show. So we used to call it the Trash and Fashion Show, but we're trying to sort of shift the focus so that we are repurposing things that you get in thrift stores and can actually wear them. But the creativity is truly mind-blowing. And we have kids who will have ideas, maybe adults will help them create the costumes. And that's a wonderful collaboration. And we also have a number of like preteen and teenage sewists, as they call seamstresses now, because it's a gender neutral term. I'm trying to get my head around that.
Fishers and sewists, we're getting there.
Yeah. So they are so creative. It's just really impressive to see what they can do. And that's always a really fun event. And as you go through the course with all the presenters and the artists, there'll be information about the carbon footprint of fashion. And it's shocking. You know, a single cotton t-shirt can take, I think, 2,000 gallons of water to produce. So, and the other thing is next month at the farmer's market, the zero waste booth is going to be all about fashion and fabric and fiber and ways to keep your clothes lasting longer. And, you know, statistics about, I think they say the average American gets rid of 7 giant trash bags of clothes a year, which is just astonishing. And, you know, we'll have information about the decomposition times for natural fibers, you know, linen and cotton and wool are relatively speedy. And then you get the polyester and it breaks down, but it never decomposes. You know, it's just more plastic in the ground. So thinking about fashion, come by our booth next month. The other thing you can do if you want to be informed on a regular basis is sign up for the Zero Waste newsletter. Diane Landry's been doing this since 2010. So, you know, it's Sustainable Bainbridge is like the mothership. And then there are all these other organizations underneath its umbrella. And so Sustainable Bainbridge asked to create Zero Waste in 2010. Diane has been in charge of it since then. She publishes a newsletter about once or sometimes twice a month. If you sign up, we never ever give your information anywhere and we never ask you for money. So how about that? And you'll find out all the events coming up in a month that are related to being more environmentally aware. Oh, and she'll talk about other community events. And I meant to tell you that there's also, not related to Earth Month, but in a way, there's a styrofoam collection on April 15th. I don't know if you're aware of that. Kitsap County Solid Waste is partnering with, I don't remember their initials, but it's a business that can handle styrofoam. So that's in Silverdale on the 15th. And also there's a paper shredding event on the 15th. There's a sign at St. Cecilia's about that. I think it's Columbia Bank, which is somehow now partnered with Umpqua Bank. But those are both environmentally friendly things to do. Any other questions?
It says here, well, I'm going to add this. So this styrofoam and mattress recycle event is Saturday, April 15th. And it's at the fairgrounds. And it says they can accept packaging material, blocks, coolers, packing peanuts, takeout boxes. They'll take mattresses for $10 a piece as long as they're dry, and box springs as well. So not stuff that's been laying around in your backyard for a year. But they have a lot of things. I don't see who they're collaborating with here on this list.
DTG or DTK. I like I said, I can't remember.
Oh, here we
the
go.
initials.
DTG Recycle.
Oh, yay!
DTG Recycle.
Right, and they co-sponsored the last event. And just to give you an idea of the volume of the styrofoam on this island, so Zero Waste used to partner with Bay Hay and Feed to do, twice a year, a collection of styrofoam. And it just got so big that it was more than Bay Hay and Feed could handle. But for the last 2 years we did it. So at each event, we collected 3 semi-tractor trailers full of styrofoam from just this little island of 25,000 people. It's just amazing.
Well, it is amazing how much it's used for all the packing of all these computers and TVs and things that we also buy too often, I'm sure.
Right. Well, on a cheerful note, not now, but in the future, in a future Earth Day, there's research going on in actual business, at least one business that I heard do a presentation where they're using leftover hemp fiber and mycelium to create custom shaped packaging that could replace styrofoam. And you could just break it up and put it on your garden. There's nothing in it.
What's mycelium?
Oh, mushrooms.
Oh,
Yeah, not the fruit part, but all the underneath. I'm sorry.
no, we're just asking questions and learning
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Anyway, so that's great. That sounds, I mean,
And then
as long as we're stay friendly with the fungi, we can do that.
yes,
Certainly,
yes.
certainly it's better than using fossil fuels.
Oh, absolutely. And then, I briefly mentioned, take your own mug, but I'm sure you're all aware of the ordinance that went into effect January 1st of this year that the city is requiring cups and takeout containers to meet a sort of a 3-pronged standard. It's got to be fiber-based, it's got to be home compostable, and it needs to be free of the PFAS chemicals. So please remember to take your own mug with you. You're saving that business some money. You're saving yourself a quarter every time you get a cup of coffee. It's just easy to do. You got to get in the habit, like, taking your bags to the grocery store, but it's super easy.
Thank you very much for running through this with us and inspiring us to get out there and evolve. And I think that some of the things that you're talking about, like the idea of picking up things on the street and not throwing away those socks that have holes in them, are things that maybe we can get in the habit of figuring out how to do long term because we're doing them short term.
Right. Oh, and I have one other thing to mention about waste. So at the Zero Waste Farmers Market, we're the first Saturday of every month, except for July because of the Rotary auction. We're the third Saturday then. I have a pet project where I'm asking people to bring in their small pieces of scrap metal, because if you take a load to the transfer station, it's $13. And so I think a lot of scrap metal just gets tossed in the trash, and shouldn't be. It's a resource. It's not garbage. We've already gone through that whole environmentally intense extraction process. It can be recycled. So if you have old, locks that you don't have the combination to anymore, if you have IKEA wrenches, and don't we all, beer bottle caps, all that kind of stuff that's too small for recycling, loose lids from cans, bring them to the farmers market booth on the first Saturday, and I'm going to go ahead and keep a running total of how much we collect all year, just to see, because it's not garbage. It's valuable. It's an asset.
Well, thank you very much. Again, I appreciate your time and also your inspirational living. Barbara, you are an inspiration and
Oh, thank you.
a forward thinker that inspires me, at least, and I'm sure many others.
Well, I'm just grateful the senior center has been so receptive to getting greener for the past year, because it is a matter of changing habits and rethinking, and staff and members have done a good job of getting there.
Well, it is one of those things that, like what we're talking about, where it is the hardest part is making the transition. And then once you're used to carrying your coffee cup, or once you're used to figuring out that you can reuse glass for our water cooler.
Mhm.
It turns out to be not that big of a deal.
Oh, I'd like to end one more. This is an inelegant but important note. So the extra fluffy or deluxe cushy toilet paper that you can buy is made from virgin boreal forests in Canada. And that's old growth forest. So please consider buying toilet paper that's made from recycled office paper, or there's several brands of bamboo paper, and bamboo grows so fast that you're not depleting natural resources to nearly the extent. So when you're using forests, and I personally have been using bamboo toilet paper from a company called Who Gives a Crap. And so check out their website and see if that's something you would be willing to consider. But we got to save our trees. We need to be using them on our behinds.
There we go.
There we go.
There's the story, top to bottom, from
Yeah.
Barbara. Happy Earth Day coming up, and a happy
Thanks,
Earth Month,
everybody.
Earth Year, and Earth to the end of time.
Exactly. Thank you.